This is regarding the digital assignment. So the first thing you should know about the honor code. This is very important for submission of digital assignment. Without this, your assignment is not valid, right? So you have to state the same, like the following submission. In case in engineering, we have got three submissions. So in your case, it's just the submission. Is my own and original work, and the solution and answer submitted herein was not copied neither in full nor in part from anywhere. Like I've not shared my work with any other enrolled in this course at any circumstances. If there is any violation or any violations, then I understand that it is considered as malpractice and leads to zero grading in the submitted assignment. I also understand that some assignment submitted after deadline is not considered for grading. I do take full responsibility in case of individual invalid files and corrupt or not openable files if submitted before and after the deadline. So I do not ask for extra time or resubmission. So this is the honor code. Generally, student does the honor code and they know the consequences of malpractice. Then your signature, digital signature, and the date of submission. So this is the date of submission. Right. So this is honor code. This is very important, right? So I personally felt like after incorporating this in the assignments that I give students, the copying got reduced. And in fact, the first time I gave to a batch of students construction project management course, and they thought it's very lightly, and then they copied and they got zero. Once they got zero, I don't hear any explanation from them. I ask them to read the honor code again. And in CAT 2, they performed, I mean, the digital assembly number 2, they performed really well. They understood the importance of this honor code. So I'm just telling you, do not copy or do not get me a message like I've shared my assignment, like he copied or something. So in one instance, like one student genuinely wrote the assignment and the other one was his roommate and just I'm talking about before the COVID period, and then he copied, but the problem is that the guy who copied have submitted the assignment earlier than the guy who actually written the assignment. So sharing is also equally not good. And then finally, the person who actually wrote and just said like I was the one who wrote, but he copied and this. But sharing is also equally not good, right? So I asked him, why did you share? And that's also a big mistake. And finally, not only the person who shared the answer, but also the person who copied, both get the same grade as zero. As simple as that, right? So do not copy the assignment, uh, right? So try to do it on a own. Assignments are meant to be done with a lot of fun and a lot of enthusiasm. Do not copy the assignment. Don't do it for God's sake, right? So understand, do not understand the course and to have a much deeper insights on the content. The assignments are the only one thing, right? So that is what you do as your responsibility or your interest based on your interest, right? So do it properly. So the title of the assignment, developer for so this is the question. I'll just make it bigger so you understand much better. So develop a strategic action plan of any one of the environmental issues prevailing in our country. Right? Say one example. I'll just give. Do not copy the same, but understand this. Greenhouse gas. So it's a major issue. So the causes, I just first initially find the causes. It's because of civilization, industrial usage, and carbon footprints, ecological imbalance, so many things, right? So I need to develop a strategic plan such a way that this will be the criterion and how to eradicate this kind of things, and that's a proposed methodology, something like that, right? So that's your assignment number one, right? So this is common for all. Do not copy. You cannot have 100% same assignments as the other person. So it's an open-ended question. So copying is really impossible. If you copy, it will be abrupt and it will be pretty clear that the
Sir,
answers will match in the same. Yeah.
sir,
And,
it's handwritten or typed.
pardon?
It's handwritten or typed. How do you want it, sir?
Yeah, it's up to you, right? So I'm not forcing that. Like I just, it's a digital copy of your handwriting or typesetted or Word document or even Excel, something like that, right? So, but
Word limits also, sir. Can you mention the word limit in format?
formatting. All right. So generally, for engineering cases, we generally do not specify the formatting and all. That content is considered to be the king rather than. But handwritten, you can't insert images. That's one thing. Uh, but then, like don't like Google Images where you just copy paste stuff. If you could able to draw on your own hand itself is pretty sufficient. Many of these requires flow charts or just tables and bullet points, right? So it could be handwritten or typeset, either the same. Or I'll also give you, in case uh, you are really interested in knowing the format, then I can make one currently and show you. Maybe you use that as the format or something like that, right? So give me a second. Like for example, if I am the student writing this, I'll just give name, registration number, right? And then school, since it's law school, only unified. It's not a unified course like in engineering. Just can mention, right? And then we talk about the code. Also, be I'll copy the honor code, right? Something like this. Honor code, something like if the deadline is tomorrow, something like right? So this is how, or if you have the signature, you can directly put the signature here, digital signature. So this is how it starts, right? Then I'll just write the question, right? So this is question, answer is, So you can write on your own, you can add images. If you want to add image, you can use any image processing or image making thing and something like that. So you can add it, something like that. I generally don't specify the formatting. If you want to give like 1.5 line spacing, I prefer Garamond font, but if you like other fonts, is pretty much the same. Like the Times New Roman, generally they use, or you can use yes, sir. You can use Book Antique or Serif font, sans serif font. Serif
Sir,
font.
sorry for the interruption. Can I
Yeah,
ask a doubt?
yes, sir.
Um, like, can I pick any other hazards other than the three you mentioned there, or it should be only from the three you mentioned?
Which
Strategy development for those environmental hazards.
I didn't get you. Can you come again?
Uh, can I pick any other hazard other than the three you mentioned, or it should be only from the three topics which you have provided?
What are the three I mentioned?
The strategy development, you mentioned three hazards, no, sir, before. Like
Uh, uh,
industrial, you said, yeah.
no, it is anything. Any, it is like the question is open ended. Any of the environment or
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
any of the environmental hazard. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
okay, any issues like provided you have to give justifications to that, right? So don't take something which you are not very familiar, so you may not have much understanding on that, right? Or if you want to take as a challenge, you can take that. So I'm not uh, stopping that, right? So if you want to explore something which you have not experienced early, just something called I don't know how many of you would know this term called liquefaction, which is like soil becomes liquid stuff. Like it is something like the soil mass becomes the hard surface or hard soil, the hard stratum turns out to be liquid, or generally it is called saturated area. Right, so this is pretty. I know not many of you would know this term called liquefaction. This happens during earthquake.
Sir, I don't know. Is it because of the buildings we actually build, like a lot of buildings?
Oh, it's actually because of the earthquake. So the hard stratum, because of the earthquake, earthquakes are like producing high impulse with a shorter duration. So when the earthquake hits this hard soil mass, it alters the water table beneath the ground. So water and the solid mass, it becomes a colloidal gel. So it becomes a gel, so that the rigid structure like the buildings gets settled differently. Like settlement is means like it can tilt its original verticality, right? So I'll show you that probably. So this is one environmental hazard. The reason is that like in an earthquake prone zone, they have to go for pile foundation. Without that, if they have got only ordinary foundation, this liquefaction happens. It's inevitable. It's unavoidable, right? So that's one thing. So this is something like which not many people realize as an environmental hazard. But if you want to take out this and write and do it, it's fine. It's nothing wrong. Or you can take some normal kind of stuff like noise pollution, air pollution. Something is also fine, but you should justify that, right? But if you take this, you will really love science and engineering. You know, basic common sense turned out to be, the technology. They say passive, dampers. They call. That's why in Japan, even despite very huge Richters of earthquake, their buildings are very solid. The reason is that they have dampers to combat this liquefaction. Something. So this is just another example from my domain. Or even take the 5G uh, wireless communication, and because of that, the biotic creatures are facing difficulty. Maybe 5G communication were not my domain, but then like as an environmental activist or somebody, and environmental science students like you can take up or something. And you can get movie references also, like the Robot 2, Incident 2, that was based on this concept. So you have some movie reference or actual manuscript or journals or some conferences or something. Or you can even watch videos in YouTube where they talk about these things like hazardous things, something, and you can document them in form of a writing and with the pictures or something. So it's up to you. So wireless, 5G network or wireless communication in the uh, age of lining uh, birds, small, something like that, right? So this are something like because of the increased communication towers, the birds gets migrate and something like that, right? There is a program in Netflix. It's called Connection or something like that, right? So connected, which means in the first episode they talk about how birds have got huge relationship with the meteorology, which is the weather prediction or something. So they analyze a lot of birds in Amazon forest and their patterns by fixing, GPS and other related devices on that, and then they monitor that and they see during storm they evacuate before the storm itself they evacuate. Then they understand how they do that and how they migrate the patterns or something like that. And the study on eagles pattern, like how eagle travels and where does that travels in different seasons or something like that. So those things like can correlate with wireless technologies, something like that. So that's kind of a small thing that I'm just giving you as a hint for the digital assignment number one. The deadline I'll tell you tomorrow. That will be generally before Cat 1. I'll just find out the dates, exact dates and time, and the mode of submission will be in Moodle. So I'll just make sure that the contents are there in Moodle. I mean the questions and other related stuffs in Moodle by this week, right? All right, so that's what I wanted to tell you is all about. It's very simple. Do it with fun. Do not force yourself, or do not wait till the end of the deadline to finish or start your assignment, something like that, right?